How to stay sane when your life falls apart. There comes a time in everyone's life, doesn't matter who you are, when things fall apart. Maybe it's a relationship ending, maybe it's a divorce or a business collapsing or not doing so well. Maybe you've been fired from a job or you're going through a death of someone in the family or someone close to you. And the list can go on and on and on. And I've had plenty of these. In fact, I've had all of these and more. And I'm guessing some of you watching this have as well. I've gone through the dark night of my soul on several occasions. The first one being the loss of my father when I was 11 years old. It was the first lesson in life that I ever had. It was a lesson that anything can happen to anybody at any time. So today I'm going to show you how to stay sane, centered, and empowered when everything around you seems to be collapsing, when the shit hits the fan, because it's at these times that we must dig deep and stay centered, stay empowered. Even if at the time you don't feel like it, or your mind's just wandering and you're going, what the hell is happening? So today we're going to explore three core principles that many world-class thought leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and spiritual teachers all lean on when these times hit them the hardest. And the first one I'm going to talk about is mastering the inner state. The second point I'm going to be talking to you about is rewriting your story. So transforming meaning before it destroys you. And the third point is micro momentum, the art of rising slowly but surely. Okay, so mastering the inner state when the outer world breaks. When life falls apart, your nervous system often goes into chaos. Your mind races, your emotions explode, you feel ungrounded, you feel unsafe, unsure, and overwhelmed, and your anxiety can begin to skyrocket. Dr. Martha Beck, author of the international best-selling book Beyond Anxiety, explains your lizard brain or the reptilian brain takes over, and the amygdala, the part of the brain designed to keep you safe and keep you alive in the Stone Age from many years ago, goes into full alarm. It scans your world for danger and screams, something is wrong. Do something now. Run. So your heart is racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour and you don't know what to do. But here's the catch. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a tiger or a lion chasing you, or a rude email you haven't replied to money stress, to relationship uncertainty, social pressure, fear of the future, etc., etc. So the brain reacts as if your life is on the line, even when it's not. And it's a scary place to be. I've been there. So when anxiety rises, your prefrontal cortex, the calm, rational, creative part of your mind, actually goes offline. And this is why during anxiety, you start overthinking, you catastrophize. And I used to catastrophize a hell of a lot. You feel frozen, you forget simple things, and your thoughts spiral into what ifs. And this happened to me during my separation, and it's not a good place to be. It's this, the saying, you're not thinking straight, comes from this. So you can't think clearly because the part of your brain that does clear thinking is literally been overridden, and it's not accessible in that moment. The brain triggers a cocktail of survival hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, non-adrenaline, and you enter a distorted reality state. And psychologists call this stress-induced perception distortion. So your brain actually stops seeing the world as it is, and it stops seeing the world clearly because you're viewing life through a false filter of danger, not as it truly is. And when this happens, it often leads to exaggeration of threats, underestimating your abilities, imagining worst case scenarios, feeling disconnected, and your brain is trying to keep you safe by making the world look scarier than what it really is. And it's not a good, safe place to be. So you just need to write it out for the meantime. A world-class mindset doesn't come from having a perfect life or having to think straight or think well all the time. It's not going to think, your mind's not going to think perfectly when the shit hits a fan. It comes from knowing how to stabilize your mind. So when your life is far from perfect, you need to breathe, take a step back. And this leads me on to point number 2, and that's to rewrite the story. Transform meaning before it destroys you. When everything falls apart, we don't suffer because of what happens. We suffer because of the meaning that we attach to it. You lose a job and the mind says, I'm failing, I'm hopeless, I always lose my job. A relationship ends and the mind whispers, hey, maybe I'm not lovable, what's wrong with me? And a dream collapses and your inner voice says, maybe I'm not cut out for this. I told you that you couldn't make it. I should have listened to my parents or my friends who told me I was wasting my time. But here's the truth all great thinkers from Bob Proctor to Eckhart Tolle teach. You cannot control what happens, but you can absolutely control what it means. And this is where emotional mastery begins. So you've got to shift from victim to student. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? The moment you shift to student mode, you start to reclaim your power back. So shift from loss to redirection. And when life falls apart, it's rarely destruction, it's redirection. Things fall away because they are too small for the person you are becoming. You can't evolve or change into someone new or to someone better without going through a lot of shit. Sorry, it just isn't possible. And if you ask anyone, I know a lot of people who've gone through the same things that I've gone through and more. And if you ask anyone who's achieved anything in their lives or made some kind of significant growth, whether willingly or unwillingly, and you'll find they went through excruciating pain or challenges in their lives that seemed impossible at the time. They look back now and they can see why it happened, and it actually helped them in the end. So you've got to shift from fear to faith. And both faith and fear live in the unseen. It's invisible. It's in your mind. So it's your choice which one you want to focus on. You can't see fear and you can't see faith. These are both invisible forces that are only a thought. So which one do you want to focus on? And by the way, faith doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means trusting that there is more to come, that there is more to the story than what you currently see. Even if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, especially when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because when you rewrite the story, you stop being the character who's suffering and become the author who is evolving. And this leads me on to topic number 3, and that's building forward slowly, micro momentum, the art of rising again and starting new. Staying sane doesn't mean instantly fixing everything because you can't. It's impossible when your mind's not working properly. You have to start with where you are, with where you're at, and not rush things. It means rebuilding carefully, intentionally, and powerfully. It's about training your mind to see what's possible in the future, not what is happening in your current circumstances. The biggest mistake people make when life collapses around them and they're not sure what to do is that I'm a culprit for this as well, is rushing to rebuild from a place of panic or desperation. But you don't rebuild a house while the ground is still shaking. You're not going to make good choices. So you have to rise with micro momentum. Tiny steps that remind you, I am capable, I am moving, I am loving, I am not stuck. This will get better results. And even if it doesn't feel like it at this point in time, you've got to remind yourself that it will. And it took me a year or two to go over my last dark night of the soul, and I'm still dealing with it now. It does become easier. And yes, you were told that at the time. It will become easier for you, but you're like, that's the last thing you want to hear. But it does. So get into a few daily habits or routines to start out your day. One stabilizing routine can be a morning walk, a morning meditation, journaling, stretching. I like to do the Wayne Dyer meditation. It's on YouTube. Check it out for yourself. And the evening meditation. Now, some people think I'm crazy, but hey, it works for me and it's worked for thousands and thousands of others. So you've got to have one courageous action per day. Send a message to a friend. Make the phone call. You don't need a crowd. Just contact a friend, a family member, just one safe connection, a family friend. I have many friends. There are a couple of friends very close to me that I call pretty much every day, or they call me, and it helps. If you can't find a friend or family member, there are free numbers out there, but it is out there. My family and friends were fantastic to me when I went through my divorce, and I honestly don't know where I'd be without their support. You don't climb out of the collapse with one leap. You climb with a staircase made of small steps. So when life falls apart, you rise different. When life falls apart, it's not a punishment. It's a recalibration, a restructuring, a rebirth. Staying sane is not about pretending everything is fine, because it's not. It's about remembering that you are stronger at this moment. You are stronger than the moment you are in, even if it doesn't feel like it at this point in time. I've been there. I've been broken. I've been brought to my knees. But life may be falling apart around you, but you are learning, you are evolving, you're expanding and becoming someone who can hold more, lead more, love more, and rise higher than you ever have before. You don't just survive these chapters, you transform in them. And when the storm passes, as all storms do, you will walk forward clearer, wiser, more aligned, and more powerful than ever. I promise you. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and also share this video with someone who you may think may benefit from watching it if they're going through a hard time. Also, join my free community school. Just click on more in the below, and in the description and the link, you can see the link to my new community. It's free for now, but it will be going up soon. So get in soon before this happens, because I have some very exciting and interesting news that I'm about to share. Thanks for watching. Peace out. See you in the next video.